Hi and welcome back to another AnyRPG tutorial. In this tutorial we will learn how to recolor UMA armor in 3 different ways using completely free tools. So let's get started. To start, I'll show you what kind of armor we're starting with and the types of recolors that we're going to make. Recoloring armor is an option that you can use when you don't have a lot of like a big budget or a lot of different armor sets available, and you can just make different colored versions of them. So we have this leather armor set, which is basically a recolor of the Challenger armor that I did. It looks really yellow. We have this armor set, which comes from the Icy Forge Armours, and we've got this cloth set here, which is the one that's included with UMA. And what we're going to do is recolor all these to make a common color scheme, and we're going to call it the Icy Armor Set. So we'll have an Icy Leather set, an Icy Plate set, and an Icy Cloth set. And each of these different types of gear requires a different recoloring method, from very easy to slightly more complex, but still pretty easy. So let's get started and demonstrate the first way. Now the first way, if you're lucky, is your UMA armor itself is actually kind of yellow or gray, and you can just tint it using UMA colors. So let's go ahead and create some Icy Leather Armor. So to do that, first thing we're going to do is actually go ahead and create the actual items for it. So we've got a bunch of leather armor here. I'm just going to hit Control D to duplicate all those, and these are item equipment armor basically under the AnyRPG creation menu if you want to create these items. And we'll need to just call this one Icy Armor, and we'll call it the Icy Leather Armor. For the leather, we don't have slots for everything, so we can ignore the belt basically. We do have slots for the boots, so we'll create some Icy Leather boots, and we do have slots for the gloves, so we'll create some Icy Leather gloves, and we have slots for the pants, so we'll create some Icy Leather pants, and we have slots for the shoulder, so we'll create some Icy Leather shoulders. That's pretty good. That's our torso, boots, gloves, pants, and shoulders, and we don't have belts, bracers, or headband. So now that we've got this, we're going to want to link this to an UMA profile. So all of these things are referencing an UMA recipe profile, so we'll just change these all to Icy. Icy Leather boots, Icy Leather gloves, Icy Leather pants, and Icy Leather shoulders. And up here we'll want to change the names as well to Icy. Okay, now we can go make some UMA profiles for those. So under our UMA recipe profiles here, under leather, I've got some red ones that I've created. I'm just going to hit Control D to duplicate those. So what we just did is we basically created the Icy gear, and that's basically the scriptable object that's associated with all the stats and item level and such. And then this is our UMA recipe profile, which allows us to define which UMA recipe we're going to use for this gear. So similarly, I will make some Icy Leather recipe profiles here. And then we'll want to change the names as well. Get rid of the word red and put in the word icy up top here. Next, we'll want to actually make the UMA recipes for the icy leather shoulders. So I'm just going to click on this to go to the folder where all the actual UMA recipes are stored. I'm going to give this thing a second here while it creates an UMA context. I'm not sure why. This is a pretty big project. It's about 100 gigs or so, and whenever you use an UMA item for the first time in the editor, it takes a few seconds. Okay, good. And so what we want to do basically is select all those and just Control D to duplicate. And now we have some new UMA recipes. So we'll set this to Icy Leather Armor, Icy Leather Boots, Icy Leather Gloves, Icy Leather Pants, and Icy Leather Shoulders. Then what we want to do is basically just set the colors on them. So with this shoulder, it originally had this leather, which is sort of this nice brown color here. And I set the replacement color to red for the red leather shoulders, and they were yellow for the yellow leather shoulders. So what we'll want to do basically, if you look down here, you can see the replacement color is a shared UMA color, and it's applied to this right here. So we've got the metal pieces and then the leather armor, and the replacement color red is currently being applied to the armor. So this is supposed to be icy armor. So let's pick a really nice sort of icy color here. I think I like that one. Looks very icy. I'm going to copy it and just save that collection there. Then I'm going to go into all of these different armors, and the torso armor, I'm going to paste that and hit save collection, and the boots, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to paste that and hit save collection. Oops, you know what? Sorry, I am doing this on the wrong item right here. I'm supposed to be doing this on the icy ones. Okay, so we've got the icy leather shoulders correct. We want the icy leather pants here, so I'm just going to paste that right there. I'm going to open up replacement color and paste that on the icy leather gloves, and now I'm going to paste that on the icy leather boots, and then paste that on the icy leather armor. And let's just go back and fix those red ones that I accidentally pasted the wrong color on there. Okay, good. So now we have some UMA armor that will be tinted blue, just because that's what we put in the shared color box and applied to those. So basically, that's the first way. It's pretty easy, and let's just go add this to a vendor. What I want to do is just find my leather armor vendor. This is my leather armor vendor collection here, and what we can do is just add some Icy Leather Armor to him. So we just need 5 more slots. Whoops. Try that again. We need 5 more slots. There we go. And so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll put in the item name as the Icy Leather Shoulders. And then we'll add the Icy Leather Boots, the Icy Leather Armor, the Icy Leather Gloves, and the Icy Leather Pants. Okay, so now that I've added that armor to this vendor collection here, which is already assigned to my leather vendor in the game, we should be able to basically go in and buy this stuff. It looks like I forgot to change a few names in a couple of different places, so in one of my it's these extra objects that I created here. So I still have to actually set the names on this Icy Leather belt here so that it doesn't conflict with the existing Icy Leather belt. We're not going to buy this, and it has no item model yet. It's just like an invisible thing that you can put on, but the names do have to be fixed here. Okay, good. We can save that, and we should be able to jump into the game now. So we'll go down to the guy that's wearing the leather armor here. Okay, and we can go over to the leather vendor here. And if I scroll over to the last page, I should have 5 new sets of armor available to purchase. And I do, so that's good. So we're going to purchase them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm just going to move them all up into that top bag there. Okay, now let's go take a step out into the sun so we can see our gorgeous new armor here. And we can equip it by just right-clicking on everything. So right now our character is a little bit naked. So it appears that we still have some work to do here. So the armor was successfully put on, and it's looking for the UMA recipe profile of Icy Leather Armor. And that's because we're trying to load the wrong recipe, the male red leather armor. So what we want to do is actually set that to the male Icy Leather Armor. And actually, we also want to fix the spelling on that. It looks like I've got an extra R on the word leather. Just waiting for this UMA context again. Okay, so we're going to get rid of the word leather there. I'll just set the name here to Icy Leather Armor. Here, let's set the display name to Icy Leather Boots, Icy Leather Gloves, Icy Leather Pants, and Icy Leather Shoulders. So the Icy Leather Armor is correctly pointing to the UMA recipe called Icy Leather Armor. We'll set the boots to point to the Icy Leather Boots. We'll set the gloves to point to the Icy Leather Gloves. The pants to point to the Icy Leather Pants, and the shoulders to point to the Icy Leather Shoulders. Let's just save that again here and check everything again. Icy Leather Pants is the resource name. The resource description doesn't matter. The equipment slot type is pants. The UMA recipe profile name is Icy Leather Pants. Yeah, that should work. So he really doesn't want to display this stuff here. So if I put on the Initiate's leather boots, it works. But if I put on the Icy Leather Boots, it does not. And the Earth Dweller's leather boots are working as well. So let's just go see what the differences there are. If we will look at the Earth Dweller's leather boots, oh, of course, this is UMA gear. I made a really silly mistake here. I have to add all of these to the UMA global library. So as soon as the game continues here, just waiting for one of those UMA contexts to get created again. Okay, so you just got to right click on them, add selected assets to UMA Global Library. All right, that's better. So now when we try to reference the items, our character should be able to equip them. All right, so we're going to have to take them on and off again, likely, in order for that to work. So there, Icy Leather Pants, Icy Leather Armor, Icy Leather Gloves, and then we had some more icy gear somewhere else in our backpack here. Let's see if I can find it. I actually don't see it. Where are the icy leather boots? It's like they disappeared. Oh, right. He's still wearing them. That's why. We actually have to unequip these and then put them back on. Okay, there we go. All right. And finally, the gloves. Unequip them and put them back on. Perfect. So that's the icy gear recolor. And that was the easiest way. And that still took me 20 minutes to get that right. Okay, great. So now we've got a nice blue set of armor. Cool. Let's carry on and make the cloth version of this and the plate version of this. So for the cloth version, we're going to have to do something a little bit different. If you look at the icy armor here, and sorry, there's going to be another wait for an UMA context here. While we're waiting, I'm just going to load up GIMP. GIMP is an awesome free program like Photoshop, and you can do image editing with it. And we're actually going to have to use GIMP for the next part of this to create both the cloth and the plate armor. We'll be using slightly different techniques for each of those though. So let's just wait for this UMA context here. Okay, so I'll show you why this worked for the leather. If we look at this texture here for the normal leather texture, it's pretty sort of neutral colored. It's really easy to tone that and make it a different color, basically. But what if we have a color that's already a strong color, for example? Like, what if we've got this male red cloth robe right here? So if we look at this red cloth robe and we look at the albedo for it, it's very, very red. And if I was to say, try to make a blue robe out of this by just using those shared colors and just adding some blue, my robe would turn out very purple instead of what I was looking for. The leather was neutral enough we could tint it, but with this, we're going to have to take a slightly different approach. So to do that, what I'm going to do is we're basically going to recolor all of this stuff here. And to recolor it, we'll need to show this folder in Explorer here. And then we'll need to basically edit these files in GIMP. So I think I can choose open with here and use GIMP. And I will open up the albedo for the upper lower. I want to do the same thing for the hood. So we have the alter hood albedo. I will show that one in Explorer, and I'm going to also open that one with GIMP as well. And finally, we've got the boots. So I'm going to show that one in Explorer, and I'm going to open that one with GIMP. So we've got the robe, we've got the hood, and we've got the boots. And now we can basically make the changes that we need. So what we'll do here is we'll be using a cool ability of this program, and that is the Hue Saturation and Lightness under the Colors menu here. And what happens is, if you imagine this little thing like a color wheel, and we can see the red up there is red, what we want to do basically is swing the color wheel around until blue is where red used to be. So to do that, we can basically just move this slider, and if you can imagine this slider is basically, we can sort of watch the colors on the color wheel, and we see blue is on top, now blue is moved over to the side, blue is moving sort of down, blue is on the bottom. So we're spinning the color wheel around, and we just have to basically put blue where red used to be at the top. So I'm thinking I like this one. This is very close to the icy color that we already had here. And this is at negative 143.8 on the hue slider. So I'm just going to hit OK. And now we've got a recolored robe. We'll save that in a second here. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go to Colors, go to the Hue Saturation, and select that, hit Control V to paste in 143.8. It's the exact same color blue. Hit OK, and now we have a blue hood. Let's do the same thing for the shoes right here. So we're going to go to Colors. We're going to go to the Hue Saturation. We're going to click on Hue, select negative 143.8. And now we've got ourselves a nice pair of blue shoes. Now with the robe, I was using a few more things. So let's just go take a look at that. We've got pants basically, and we've got gloves. Now with the gloves, we don't really have to worry because our gloves are already naturally tintable, but we might want to do something about the pants. So let's make some UMA recipe profiles then. I'm just going to hit Control D to duplicate these other UMA recipe profiles here, the red cloth ones, and we'll rename them to the Icy Cloth Set. And it may seem like a bit of extra work to create an UMA recipe profile rather than just linking directly to an UMA recipe. But what these will be used for in the future is to allow us to automatically select both male and female versions of recipes, and also essentially for glamour as well. We can have items and we can just swap out the recipe profiles and do glamour or transmog if you're into that sort of thing. So we'll change the titles here. And then we'll just click on this to get to the folder where the existing UMA wardrobe recipes are for cloth. And I'm just going to hit Control D to duplicate this. This is all the recipes for basically the initiate's gear, and I've just called it the red gear. Sorry, not the initiate's gear, basically the mystic gear. That came with UMA. So we'll set these names all up, replacing the word red for icy. And now we've got a bunch of Icy Uma recipes. So for the gloves here, let's just take a look at these gloves. This is actually the gloves of hammer that we're using, and as you can see, there's sort of like a leather bottom. These are actually leather gloves, not cloth gloves, but we're using them pretending they're cloth anyway. But then there's also this neutral tone here, and this neutral tone is what we are going to be changing the color of. So to do that, these can actually be colored the exact same way as the other ones. So if we look at the male Icy Cloth gloves here, you can see we've got this glove accent color under our shared colored list. So let's just change that. And actually what I want to do is actually copy the color from the Icy Leather. So we'll just right click on that color and copy it here. Then go onto the Icy Gloves and paste it. Perfect. And for the pants here, the pants have a color as well that we're just tinting them. Now these pants by themselves are already kind of colored. They're pretty bluish, but they respond fairly well to tinting because blue is still somewhat of a neutral color. We could the reason that basically that hue slider works so well for the robe is because the robe is basically like white and blue, whereas these pants right here, they've got some brown on them, so just sliding the hue slider wouldn't work. Although there's another really cool thing in GIMP, the color wheel as well. Let's actually just show this one in Explorer, mpants01 albedo, and we'll open that up with GIMP too. And actually, I want to demonstrate that color wheel as well. So basically, if you go under colors and what am I looking for here? Map. Rotate colors. There we go. So we've got this color rotation wheel. And what we can basically do is sort of drag these things over here and say everything that was blue is currently being mapped to yellow. And it doesn't really touch the brown because it's only grabbing colors that are in between here and here. In fact, we can probably even grab that a little bit closer. So then we can drag this around and it's going to leave all the brown alone, and it's just going to basically map the blues to a much more darker blue. And we can close this range up here and say all these blues get squished to this darker blue right here. And then now they're a little bit darker blue. They're still not super dark blue. Yeah, and there isn't really much else that we can do about that. So we'll still be tinting these pants basically, because tinting them is probably going to be the easiest way to go for these. So we can go back to the male Icy Cloth pants. We see we have our tint on it, so that's totally fine. We'll want to grab that color here, and for the robe accent color, actually let's see here. For the hood, we actually don't want to use an accent color because we already tinted the hood blue. The accent is actually like these little silver lines right here, and I actually want them to be silver. So what we're going to do is on the accents, rather than having the hood accent color, I'm just going to uncheck this, and if I can get this thing up in the corner there. There. And just set it to fully white, which is basically exactly what this one is. And then they'll show as their natural color, which is kind of a silverish here. For the robe, we want to do the same thing. For the male Icy robe, I am basically just going to uncheck use shared color and then drag that up so that it's fully white. And then for the shoes, I'm going to do the same thing. Basically, I'm just going to drag this up until it's fully white. Make sure use shared color isn't checked. Now what we want to do is we want to swap out the actual materials, and that means we're going to need to save these things here, that we created. So I'm going to choose File, Export As, and this is upper lower A underscore TGA, and I'm going to do upper lower blue A and hit PNG and then export it. Same thing for this. I'm going to go File, Export As, and we have this as the alter underscore hood. So I'm going to set it as the alter underscore hood underscore blue A dot PNG and export it, and it'll save it as a PNG for me. And then for the shoes, same thing, File, Export As, and this is called boots in that directory, so that's okay. And we're going to call this boots underscore blue underscore A dot PNG and export that and hit export. And now we can actually refer to these textures. So back in Unity, we'll click on this and we'll choose boots blue A. Sorry. We'll get back to that directory again. Okay, let's try that again. So we'll go down, start with a hood here, and for the red color here, basically if we just hit select and we want the alter hood blue A. I don't think that worked. And that's likely because I forgot to set the thing as a texture type. So let's see, we have default and 2D. No, interesting. All the settings look the same. Let's just get rid of that shared color because actually, you know what? It's fine to leave it there. Although I'm just going to set it to white. So let's try something else. Let's drag this on here. I still feel it's not updating. I think that's because I actually have to set it here. Yeah, okay, my bad. So basically this is the M freebie robe set hood, and this is an UMA overlay. So what I need to do actually is Control D to duplicate the M freebie robe set hood and call it the M freebie robe set hood blue. I should probably do the same thing for the boots, so Control D to duplicate the boots. And the M freebie robe set boots blue. And then we'll want to do the same thing for the M freebie robe set robe and set that to the M freebie robe set robe blue. Now this is where we can basically choose the upper lower blue. For the hood, same thing, alter underscore hood blue. And for the boots, same thing, boots underscore blue. Okay, now we'll want to change that overlay name to have the word blue in it so that it matches the file there. Here we'll want to change this overlay name to have the word blue in it so it matches the file. And here we'll want to change this overlay name blue so it matches what's in the file. Now I think I likely have to add these assets to the UMA global library. Okay, good. And now I can go back, hopefully, to my Icy Cloth hood here. And what I'll want to do, I don't think I can actually edit this, so I think what I need to do is actually add that overlay. So this is the hood, so I want to pull the hood blue onto add overlay. It's going to add it to the bottom there, and then I actually want to click the up arrow twice, get it into the top slot, remove this one, and now we've just got the proper two. We've got the accessory and then the hood blue. Okay, good. So that worked, and now we need to do the same thing for the Icy Cloth Robe. Even though we're not using the accent color, I'm just going to set it to white anyway. And then we will click inspect to get to the right directory, and then we will pull the M freebie robe set blue overlay that we made over here. We will delete the original one, and we'll scroll down to the bottom and move that thing up into position number 1 so it basically matches the right mesh. Finally, we will do the same thing for the Icy Cloth shoes. I'm just going to set that to white, even though once again we're not using it. And then in this case, we will inspect right there to get to the boots. We will pull on the boots blue. There is no boots accessory, so we don't need to worry about having two of them or moving things up. We just delete the original one and leave the boots blue there. So now we have UMA slots that will work for us, hopefully. So we'll go back to the directory where all of these icy things are found. Just change the name right here, the display value to icy, icy Icy and Icy shoes. We already got Icy shoes. Okay, great. So next thing we want to do is just make sure everything's hooked up properly. So it looks like we're missing here, and that's because we don't want icy red cloth shoes. We just want icy cloth shoes. Okay, perfect. So next thing we want to do is we want to take these recipe profiles and connect them to the proper UMA recipes. So this is the Icy Cloth gloves, so we want to use the Icy Cloth gloves. This is the Icy Cloth hood, so we want to use the Icy Cloth hood. This is the Icy Cloth pants, so we want to use the Icy Cloth pants. This is the Icy Cloth robe, so we want to use the Icy Cloth robe. And this is the Icy Cloth shoes, and we want to use the Icy Cloth shoes. Next thing we want to do is actually make the armor that refers to those UMA recipe profiles. So the armor is in this directory here. So under items, equipment, armor, and cloth, I've got the original Initiate's cloth set. So what we'll want to do is take the gloves, the hood, the pants, the robes, and the shoes, because we don't have shoulders, a belt, or bracers. We'll hit Control D to duplicate these. This is the armor item that has all the stats and the level and purchasing information, and we'll be linking that to the UMA profiles, which link to the UMA recipes. So we're going to change this to Icy Cloth gloves, Icy Cloth hood, Icy Cloth pants, Icy Cloth robe, and Icy Cloth shoes. I'm going to change the names up here to properly match. Alright, and this is where under the UMA recipe profile we'll just change the names down there as well. Alright, and I just want to make sure that I've added all of these to the UMA Global Library. So I'm going to add selected assets to the UMA Global Library, and that way my character won't be invisible when we equip these things. Finally, we're going to add the cloth armors to the cloth armor vendor. We will need to add 5 more to this, so the total will be 22. And the last 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll change that. So Icy Cloth shoes, Icy Cloth pants, Icy Cloth robe, Icy Cloth hood, and Icy Cloth gloves are now available in the cloth armor collection, and I already have a vendor that has that armor collection assigned to him. So let's press play, see if we made any errors with this one. we'll load up the guy that's in the robes here. And we'll take a trip over to the cloth vendor here at the end of the line. We will have a chat with him, and let me just fill up these slots here so that when this new armor comes in, it comes in at the top of my bag there. Heading over, we see that the icy gear is available, and it's all going into this bag nicely for me, so that's good. Now I have 5 new pieces of icy gear. Let's go step out into the sun and try this armor on here. Alright, there we go. And now we have a gorgeous blue elemental set, and I really like the look of that. It's pretty sweet actually, I think. So let's save the game and exit that. And now finally we're going to do our Icy Plate Armor Set. So the Icy Plate Armor Set is a little bit different. It's got a mixture of colors, so our standard hue wheel trick is not going to work for us. So let's go just make the Icy Plate Armor. To do that, first thing we want to do is create these UMA recipe profiles. So under my UMA recipe profiles for all the other stuff here, I have some red plate armor. I'm just going to hit Control D to duplicate all those. Armor, boots, gloves, helm, and legs. So we'll just rename all those. Once again, this is our recipe profiles, which will allow us to do glamour, transmogs, and have male and female items basically share the same recipe profile. Change all the names here to Icy. And then we want to go actually make the UMA recipes. So we've got a bunch of UMA recipes here, and it looks like because I popped out of the game again, I just have to wait a minute for an UMA context. So what we're going to do is just select all of these recipes that came from the Eki Forge armor set. We're going to duplicate them, and then we will basically have to make new overlays for them like we did with the robes. And then we only have one file to edit because the armors have all of their like UVs wrapped up in a single texture. It's not like separate hoods and boots and stuff. So here we go. Let's Control D to duplicate all these UMA recipes. And then we'll just change the name on them. So Icy Plate Boots, Icy Plate Gloves, Icy Plate Helm, Icy Plate Legs, and finally the Icy Plate Torso. So what we want to do here is basically go to the boots overlay. We can hit inspect to get to the right directory here. I'm just going to hit Control D to duplicate that. And I'm just going to call this overlay blue. And in this case, we have the diffuse map. And as you can see, basically it's got the entire set in there. So this is basically the only file that we have to edit for this. So we are going to show this one in Explorer. We are going to right click on it and choose Open with GIMP. We'll head over into GIMP, and if you look at the armor set, basically he's got a red breastplate. Right, so these are the bracers right here. These look like the shin guards right here. These are obviously the helm. This is like the breastplate. And I think there's some wraparounds. These are like the glove things, basically. My character's actually, this is taken from a different armor set than the one that my character is wearing. My character's wearing the 1A set. So essentially, these white sort of shiny pieces here are the pieces that we actually want to be more blue. So to do that, what we can do is basically use the Select by Color tool in GIMP, and if I just click on this, then it just selected everything that's the same color. And now we can either fill these in with a flood fill or use the hue rotation if we want. So I think I actually kind of want to fill them in with a flood fill. So what I want to do is I actually want to go to one of the Icy Cloth gloves, which is going to be using this nice glove accent color. I want to look at this and get its RGB values. So 88, 110, 230. I don't know if GIMP will allow me to just paste that. I don't think so. So 88, 110, 230. No, these values are there. That's better. 88, 110, 230. Okay, perfect. So now I've basically got this exact color, which is the exact same blue color that's on all of the other gear. I'm pretty sure that I can just hit the bucket fill tool here and click on each of these individually now. And now basically I should have some shiny blue armor. Let's export that, and I'm just going to add the word blue to this and click on export. Now I'm going to pop back into Unity and just give it a sec, and it will now have imported that. So let's go back to my Icy Plate boots pack, look at the overlay, click on inspect here, and pull in the overlay blue instead. I also want to go to the overlay blue here and choose pack blue. Now I want to go into each of these directories, and I want to take each of the overlays, so the gloves overlay, Control D to duplicate that, call it overlay blue, and choose the blue map again. For the helm, same thing, Control D to duplicate the overlay right here. Add the word blue to the end of it. Double click on blue. For the legs, same thing. Go to the legs overlay. Control D to duplicate. Put the word blue at the end here. Choose the blue diffuse map. And finally for the torso, Control D to duplicate. Change the name to overlay blue. Change the map to diffuse map blue. Let's save that, and then now we need to just go link to these overlays. So we'll go back to the directory with the Icy Plate gear here. Pull in the right overlay here. Delete the old one. There, that's better. Now we got the blue one. Okay. So that was the boots that we did. Now we want to do the gloves. Once again, we'll click Inspect to get to the right directory with the correct overlay. Pull in the new overlay. Pull in the blue overlay. Delete the gray one. Now we got blue. Good. Do the same thing for the helm here. Click on Inspect to get to the right directory. Pull in the blue overlay. Delete the gray one. We got blue. That's good. Do the same thing for the legs here. Click on Inspect to get to the right directory. Pull in the blue overlay. Delete the old one. Now we got blue. Good. And finally, do the same thing for the torso here. Click on Inspect to get to the right directory. Pull in the blue overlay into the Add Overlay box. Delete the old one. And now we can save that. Now, one thing that I just realized here, and you can actually see it basically, there's a bunch of orange stuff. These are basically like straps, and I think I'll leave them in for now, just so we can see what it looks like, but we might want to change the straps to like sort of a darker blue as well, some color that's going to go better with our shiny blue armor. For now though, let's just save that and then make sure that everything is all hooked up properly. So we actually need to go make the plate armor. So we'll go to the directory with all of the other plate armor here, which is the armor scriptable object. And in this case, we just need armor, boots, gloves, helm, and legs, because those are the 5 pieces that we have for the armor that actually have models. The rest of them, the bracers, girdle, and pauldrons, are invisible for the plate stuff. And so this is the item that we'll be purchasing off of the vendor that will be linked to the UMA profile, which is linked to the UMA recipe. So we've got Icy Plate Armor, Icy Plate Boots, Icy Plate Gloves, Icy Plate Helm, and Icy Plate Legs. Change all the names on these to say Icy in the resource name here. And then in the UMA recipe, change all those from initiates to icy. That looks good. So then looking at the UMA recipe profiles, now we want to actually link those to the icy ones because they're still linked to the old red UMA recipes. So here we have the Icy Plate Armor. We'll be grabbing the Icy Plate Torso for the Icy Plate Boots. We'll be grabbing the Icy Plate Boots. For the Icy Plate Gloves, we'll be grabbing the Icy Plate Gloves. For the Icy Plate Helm, we'll be grabbing the Icy Plate Helm. And for the Icy Plate Legs, we'll be grabbing the Icy Plate Legs. Alright, good. And then just going in and looking at these, make sure they're linked to the correct overlays. It looks like they are not. Which is kind of odd because I thought that we had just done that. I don't think I need to choose like save collection or something like that. Oh, you know what the issue is? I know exactly what the issue is. These aren't part of the global library, so it can't save them. So what we need to do is first go to add selected assets. No. Okay. Is that already? So it doesn't want to add these overlays to the global library. I don't know if maybe I change the name of it, if that'll help. No. Okay. Not sure what it's doing there exactly. So I'm clicking Add Overlay. I'm deleting the old one. Let's go File, Save. Go back to the boots pack and it's lost it. It's really out. Basically, this should get pretty much an overlay beside it. And we should be able to add this to the global library. The fact that it's not allowing us to add it to the global library might have something to do with the directory it's in, like it's maybe part of, I don't know, an asset pack or something. So I think the solution there is going to be to drag this into a different directory. We can see if that helps us. So let's pull that over into the UMA wardrobe recipes plate. Directory. Let's actually take this one here and add these assets to the global library. You know what? I think maybe that's why. Maybe this one actually has to be set as a wardrobe recipe before. Yeah, interesting. Still nothing there. Okay, let's try this again. Maybe now that these are wardrobe recipes, it'll actually properly be able to save the overlays. And no. Okay. And it's still flipped back there. So this is really strange. I am not particularly sure why it doesn't want to pull in that overlay. Let's hit Control D to duplicate this one again. I'm going to type blue there. Oh, you know what? I bet you. Yeah, right. UMA, that's right. UMA works the same way as AnyRPG. We have to actually have the names matched up there. I bet you now if I add that to the global library, it actually gets added, of course. Okay. So, sorry about that. So basically, it doesn't really matter where the word blue is. Now I can add that to the UMA global library and it'll work. Okay, better. And here, we'll put the word blue at the end of that. And we will add that to the UMA global library. Set the word blue there. Add that to the UMA global library. Set the word blue there. And add that to the UMA global library. Okay, much better. So let's try this again. We'll go back to the Icy Plate. We will hit inspect to get to the right directory. We will drag the blue overlay on here. We'll click the up button. We will drag the blue overlay. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. That's because this blue overlay is not actually the blue overlay. It has to use the blue pack there. That would probably help. Okay, one more time. Excellent. Now we've got the proper blue one. Okay, good. So now we can inspect that. pull in the blue overlay, get rid of the regular one. We can inspect that, pull in the blue overlay, get rid of the regular one. We can inspect that. Pull in the blue overlay, get rid of the regular one. And finally, inspect the torso. Click on inspect there to get to the right directory. Pull in the blue overlay, get rid of the regular one. All right, and now let's do one final check to make sure that they all stayed blue this time. Blue, 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 and blue. Excellent. Now we can save that, press play, and we should have some blue plate armor. Man, those guys look good. Oh, with his cool icy blue leather gear. This guy with his amazing blue elemental robes. I am just loving these colors. Okay, I can't wait to see what the plate gear looks like. Let's load this up. And you know what I think I totally forgot? I think I actually forgot to add the plate gear to the plate vendor collection. We're not going to be able to buy it yet, so I'm actually have an UMA item selected here when I dropped out of the game, so we're also going to have to wait a minute here for the UMA context before the game or in Unity unfreezes. Alright, still waiting. I think this time I'll leave my mouse highlighted on something that's not an UMA thing for the next time I jump out. There's a plate armor vendor collection, and we want to add 5 more items for a total of 21. We're going to change the last 5 here. Icy plate pauldrons, icy plate gloves, icy plate legs, icy plate armor, and the icy plate helm. Let's save that and jump back into the game, and now we should actually be able to purchase that stuff from the vendor. And there is no icy plate pauldrons, of course, because it's not pauldrons that we need. Gloves, legs, armor, helm, boots. Let's save that and press play. Load the game. Grab our plate armor guy. And now we'll go over and talk to him. I'm just gonna fill the empty spots in my bag here so that all the items pop into this top bag. We'll go over to the last page. We got some boots, some gloves, some legs, some armor, and a helm. Great, let's go step out into the sunshine so we can see our shiny new armor. And we will equip it. Oh my god, he looks like a football player. He's like wearing a football uniform. Okay, very cool. So, wow, that looks super neat. And you know, I even don't mind the blue. I mean the sort of gold. Um, but let's actually take that gold and let's make it like a much darker blue. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. So let's just save the game there. And I want to go back into this diffuse map here, and I'm going to go select none to get rid of this selection. And then I want to basically select all of the gold stuff. So I'm going to click the select by color, and I'm going to click. Oh, okay, apparently all the gold stuff is the same color. Maybe it's just like a trick of the eyes or something. To me, that looks like it is not the same color as that. Let's just confirm that. What color is this? 4319.42. That is totally not the same color. You know, the Magic Color Picker had its sensitivity on just a wee bit too high there. You know what? It's totally okay because we're going to use the other method here now. We'll use the Hue Saturation slider to make that stuff blue. So our good old friend, the Hue Saturation slider here. Can pull the hue of these objects around until we eventually get to blue. Okay, so we're at kind of like a greenish. That's not bad. That's kind of like a dark navy. Let's go all the way to the other end of the scale and keep moving around. Oh, I think I gotta be back on there. Okay. There we go. That's a nice dark blue. I'm kind of liking that. Let's hit OK. Select none. And now we can see that it changed them to blue, but it kept the same relative lightness, which is exactly what I wanted pretty much. So that's looking good. Let's export that. And we'll just overwrite this blue PNG here. And what'll happen is now when we load the game, it will be referring to that diffuse map. We're just going to let Unity re-import this, and we won't even have to make any changes to the armor now. We should just be able to press play, and our character should have like dark blue straps rather than those sort of copper or gold color straps that he had on his armor before. And we can probably even see this even just in the preview here. We totally can. Look at that. We know, oh man, that looks cool. It's like purple now. All right, very awesome. I think we can even go a little bit further though. I think the light gray color he's wearing is not quite dark enough. He still looks a little bit too much like a football player. Let's jump out of the game here, and now what I want to do is I want to take these items, the gray ones. So I am going to select them by color here. And here I can go to the colors, and I think what I want to do is I want to set brightness contrast in this case. And basically just gray these things down to make them like way darker, like way closer to black. Like probably about there. Let's hit OK and export that. let Unity re-import that and press play. And now hopefully we have a guy who doesn't look quite so light colored. So I think it's a little better. Still not quite dark enough though. So let's go to the layer color and go down to brightness and contrast. And just pull the brightness like way, way down. Almost to the point of being invisible. Perfect. So we'll hit OK. Select none just to get a good look at that. I think I'm okay with that. And we will export that again. Overwrite that same diffuse map with these much, much darker colors. And press play once more. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot better. I think those colors go together quite nicely now. He's got a darker gray armor. It's actually still like really sort of surprisingly light, but then he's got these like awesome blue, whatever those are, like just shiny metal blue like fish scale, and then like the really cool like sort of purple leather straps and the purple highlights coming down here. I think I'm okay with that. So using this awesome free tool GIMP and a couple of neat little color utilities, we've managed to make ourselves a beautiful set of elementalist gear here. Nice set of shiny blue plate armor for our warrior, and some nice blue leather for our fighter character. So as always, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, don't forget to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the AnyRPG YouTube channel, or just leave a note in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.